The Supreme Court is hearing arguments that will determine the fate of President Trump's sweeping tariffs. To dive into this, we're joined by Democratic strategist Hyma Moore and Republican strategist Aaron Evans. Thank you both very much for joining us here. If the Supreme Court rules against Trump's tariffs, it may require the administration to refund importers the billions of dollars already collected in tariff revenue. Aaron, what would be the impact of that, and how do you see this all playing out?
I mean, it'll be a huge financial impact because, to your point, I mean, having billions to repay would actually, be pretty devastating to the progress that's been made during this administration. And I think, look, it really is up to the judges. I do think that if that happens, then Congress definitely needs to act and ensure that it's permanently put into place. But hopefully the courts will rule in a way that doesn't devastate our financial economy.
And Hyma, how do you see the Supreme Court ruling here, and what would be the impact if the rule goes either way?
Yeah, I think the Supreme Court hopefully will do the right thing and roll these tariffs back. And, Aaron said he hopes Congress acts correctly. If the president wanted Congress to be involved in this, he would have asked them, but he instead took power away from them and decided himself to put these sweeping tariffs into place that have actually hurt the economy, to be quite fair.
Granted, Trump tried to use these to stop the war between Pakistan and India. What do you say, Hyma, to the Trump administration's efforts to use these tariffs to stop emergencies like that in the Trump administration's words?
Look, that's fine and dandy, but people in America are hurting. What we've learned in these last elections, even from New York and when the president ran himself, people are hurting. Costs are too high. I don't think people want their livelihoods to be used as bargaining chips for international wars. The president said he will get out of wars. The president said he will lower costs. The president said that he would put America first. He hasn't done any of those things.
Now, let's go on to the flight cancellations. The FAA says that it's cutting thousands of flights starting tomorrow because of the government shutdown. They're reducing flights by 10% at 40 major airports because too many air traffic controllers are calling out of work. They've not been paid during the shutdown. Hyma, do you think that this is going to motivate Congress to reopen the government?
Look, I hope the government gets open. As I said before here and other places, no one really wins when the government shut down. The people who lose the most are the American people. I flew this morning. I fly very often, and I'm very concerned about it. Even before the shutdown, there were already signs that it had been less safe to fly. And so I do hope that Congress opens the government up. But here's the reality. Even the government opens back up, what Democrats have been saying for the last 36 days is healthcare has got to be a top priority for the president, for Congress, for the Senate. And it has not been. With the big, beautiful bill, it was cut at the end of the year. The subsidies are going to expire. And so I think even if the government opens back up tomorrow or next week, Republicans are going to have to answer to the fact that they've taken health care away from millions of people. And that's going to be a huge factor in next year's election.
Aaron, your response on the flight cancellations and the government shutdown?
Look, I agree with my colleague about how I think devastating that this is on the everyone that's flying or going into the holidays. And look, I think that, would also echo Congress needs to do the right thing and reopen government. We can have debates and we can have dialogue. And we can have, differences of opinion on what that dialogue needs to be and how it ends up impacting elections in the midterms. But we've got to get the government reopened to have that dialogue. And right now, we've got Chuck Schumer and the Democrats basically holding all of America hostage, making political points. And look, if we backtrack, I was against the government being shut down when it was a few, Republicans who were bucking the system to keep the government shut down. And I'm against it now. It's bad for America, whether it's Democrats doing it, Republicans doing it. They need to do their job. They need to open government, and then they can have these debates. But right now, they're just holding America hostage.
Let's go now to the Hill. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced that she's retiring after this term ends. Now we also have Zohran Mamdani coming in as New York City's next mayor. But Hyma, what's next for the Democrat Party with Pelosi gone? And do you think that who do you think will succeed her?
Look, I am so happy that Nancy Pelosi has led this party, led the House Democrats for so long, and I'm so proud of her leadership. And I wish her well as she goes into retirement. And Nancy Pelosi's legacy is summed up by what she says all the time. It's all about the children. What she's been about for 40 years is about the children: healthcare, access to good housing, clean water, taking lead pipes out of schools. It's all about the children. And when you think about what she's done to make sure the next generation of Congress, Hakeem Jeffries, Pete Aguilar, Catherine Clark, all these leaders, she's made sure they have the tools and they're equipped to continue to lead the party from the House perspective. But look, you guys, I don't know why. You guys keep bringing up Mayor-elect Mamdani, and you're trying to make him the boogeyman. I am happy that Mayor Mamdani was elected as mayor of New York, but he is not the leader of the party. He is one member, and he's the mayor-elect of New York City. We just elected two governors in New Jersey and Virginia who are going to be rock stars. We just, got Prop 50 passed in California. We got Supreme Court reappointed in Pennsylvania. We have new public service commissioners in Georgia, and we have new mayors in Detroit and other cities. And so the Democratic Party is a big tent. And what I'm excited about is Mamdani and Abigail Spanberger and all these folk who were elected on the same night. That means that the Democratic Party is growing. That means that it's expanding access for people. And I'm so excited that we have so many new leaders, including Mamdani, but not limited to Mamdani.
Yeah, it's definitely certain that Democrats swept this last election. Aaron, what's next for the Democrat Party? And also, what do you think that the election we just saw keys into the midterms next year?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think. I mean, look, I think we expected if you look at history, Virginia, and I live in Virginia. Virginia always votes opposite of whoever's in office. On the presidential side, Governor Youngkin won as a Republican during the Biden term, and so in New Jersey, very similarly, I think we were expecting New Jersey maybe be a little closer, but we did expect Virginia to be a tough pickup this year. So, but I think ultimately, and even going back to your original question as well, look, I think that it's going to be interesting to see what the Democratic Party basically decides is their actual platform and what is their because the whole thing, my colleague mentioned about showing a big tent. Right now, polling actually showed Nancy Pelosi only having a 21% favorability rating compared to a 61% for the senator running against her there. And by the way, she'd already had two Democrats who had filed to run against her, one of which was an AOC staffer, before she decided to not run. And so I think what we're seeing, we are seeing, we can downplay the Mamdani effect, but we are seeing, Mamdani is one of many of new Democrats who are coming in with a much more progressive wing and really pushing the old establishment, Nancy Pelosi's and Chuck Schumer's, out of the way. So I do think it's going to be very interesting to see where the Democratic Party actually aligns message-wise, who their leaders are as we go into the midterms. And I think it's going to present a pretty stark contrast with the America First agenda of President Trump.
I think Democrats are ready for that stark contrast next year. And I think the question we should be asking is, what's the future of the Republican Party? Donald Trump's a lame duck. Marjorie Taylor Greene is going and doing her own thing. And so you guys can ask about Democrats all the time, but the Republican Party's got to ask these same questions themselves, and we should be asking that.
All right. Hyma Moore, Aaron Evans, thank you very much for your insights here. Really appreciate it.
Good to see you.